Laurie Bricker. I live in Southwest Houston. I'm a native Houstonian. My grandmother was a second-generation BOI. She was born in 1896. Her parents lived at 2012 Broadway, and my grandmother and her brother Morty lived during the storm along with their parents on Broadway. They stayed in their house the entire evening. The storm was the most defining moment of her life. My family was very lucky. My grandmother and her brother and her parents were safe during the storm. They had very little damage other than the transom that blew in from the front door, and my grandfather nailed it up during the night. My grandmother recalled the most terrifying moment was when he went up the stairs and he used a walking stick. The ceiling that was wallpapered was bulging. There had been water coming in, and he poked his cane in the ceiling and water gushed out. And my grandmother remembered that all the days of her life as being absolutely mortified. The rest of the evening, she actually sat in her mother's lap in the dining room. Of course, the noises of the trees, the lightning, the thunder, noises of the rain, heavy rain on the roof, kept them up all night long. Grandmother and her mother and her brother went by dray and then by train to Dickinson, and then they went to Houston while my grandfather stayed behind. They came back about 2 weeks later and found the island devastated. As you know, over 8,000 lives were lost. When she returned, she remembered seeing a piano in the street with the keys all strewn about. She remembered seeing all the devastation of the flood that had come up from the Gulf. Of course, there was no seawall. Years later, just a few years later, she remembered the seawall being rebuilt, or the seawall being built, and the island being raised. My grandmother in 2000 was interviewed by every major television syndicate, including CNN, ABC, NBC, CBS, and the Galveston paper and the Houston paper, because she was known as the last survivor of the 1900 storm, the deadliest natural disaster in American history. And she was at the time 104, the 100th anniversary of the storm, but she lived to 106 and a half. My grandmother was remarkable in so many ways. She didn't see herself as that. And she never knew, of course, that she would be known as the last survivor of the 1900 storm, as a second-generation BOI. Of course, she treasured when former Mayor Bo Quiroga came to Houston, or as Mimi would say, came up to Houston from the island, and spent the entire afternoon with her, looking at her scrapbooks and talking about her stories, and he gave her the key to the city. And that was one of the single most meaningful expressions of love and kindness from her Galveston that she could have ever wished for. And I think it's important to know that Galveston, this little town, this little island that could have and should have been the centerpiece of Texas, it could have been the #1 city in Texas, was devastated by that storm. And now the rebirth of Galveston, thanks to so many amazing families. There's so much to see and visit on the island, but that couldn't have happened without the vision of so many leaders that made sure that Galveston would rebuild and would become once again a thriving city.
Historic Galveston Island, playground of the Southwest, birthplace of Juneteenth, home of the official tall ship of Texas, and an architectural survivor unmatched in the nation. History-making moments live here, and Galveston Historical Foundation invites you to step into the past through interactive experiences, one-of-a-kind explorations, and good old-fashioned Gulf Coast fun. Learn more, get tickets, and plan the stories you'll share for years to come at galvestonhistory.org.